and I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and part of me is like, okay, God, you didn't have to be that quick.
That's
taken
that's
me
a
out later.
bad joke.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Fortunately, obviously, we were able to pull out, reposition, regroup, reset, and then we crossed in. So then in Basra, we're sitting in an assembly area, and we got ambushed there. And so then that was kind of my first experience with a firefight. And then from then on, it was just, we were moving so fast that we outran our supply chain.
Yeah.
Right? So we basically, at one point, we ran out of water and food and, all this stuff. But that's how kind of fast we were going. So we took a couple of days and ended up anyway. So going to Baghdad, and then just your basic, I guess, your basic war stories or whatever, just firefights here and there, getting pop shots, by snipers or whatever along the way.
I'm curious to how the initial push went. Like, how long did it take, and what was the main goal of the initial push?
Yeah, so the main goal and speed and presence, right? Almost like a violence of action, right? Can kind of win the day in a lot of even street fights or whatever, right? Like if you're more violent and quicker to the punch than the other person, then oftentimes that can be the go no go, right? For a fight or whatever. So yeah, that was in a nutshell. That was the tactic, right, that we used. And so it was, I want to say, what was it, 5 days or 3 days or some astronomical, or 7 days or whatever, for us to get in and occupy Baghdad.
Oh my gosh.
So it was the furthest that the Marines have ever traveled inland in any war in the history of the Marine Corps, right? And it was faster than any military unit had ever spanned ground, right, into a country. Wow. So, and I can't remember, I wish I could remember the statistics. I should know that as part of the story. But for me, it's like, you don't remember it with the numbers, right? You remember like the moments, right? We got shot at here, and we almost got blown up here. And then, I got indirect RPG fire across the bridge from this air base in Baghdad, or, like all those, you remember those little moments, or even like, laughing at your buddy because, he like killed all these, there were so many flies, he killed all these flies, and then spelled "fuck off" flies with the dead flies, like stuff like that. Like, those are the things that you like remember.
Stand out.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so so I of course did that whole deal, and then survived. And then I got back, and then my ex-wife, now I got divorced from her, and then married my true love. But no, so she was like, not no, but hell no, right? You're not doing that again. So I moved to basically Orange County, and my parents raised me to be this like really hardworking human. And so that never went away. So I knew how to, during the light of day and normal times, I knew how to be a hardworking man, right? Sure. And I knew how to provide. I knew how to be a good steward of my time in that time. Right. But then, because I had no, nihilism is like, I don't believe in anything. Like, God didn't kill me, so obviously He doesn't exist. So there's no heaven and hell. And then for me, then there was no ultimate purpose for my existence. I'm just here, traipsing around as a biological species, specimen, whatever, doing whatever I'm doing. And so rules became hazy for me. Like everything sort of falls apart when there's no purpose, right?
Right.
Like if your kids are your purpose, then it's like, well, then you're going to do the right thing because you want your kids to live a good life. Exactly. Or if your wife is, or if your job is, or whatever. All of those things I think are, admirable traits and admirable purposes. Yeah. And for me, it was like, it was all gone. So I knew how to work hard. So of course I'll work hard and kind of wear the mask of proper societal behavior. Right. But deep down inside, I'm like, none of this really matters. So I was, getting drunk and punching people in the face like every weekend, and just, that is not a good decision for living a long and healthy and productive life, right? you end up in jail pretty dang quick when you keep running that game.
Yep.
So, and then that's what happened. I ended up sitting in the San Diego jail, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on with me? And what am I doing? Like, what is this? And so then I start playing out, scenarios like, well, if I keep doing this, then basically the rest of my life I'll just spend behind bars, or I'll be dead. And then
I love stories like this, because like this is the exact time that you learned that lesson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. You hit, it's, some people kind of gradually drift to the bottom, right? Because they're making small little bad choices. Mm-hmm. For me, it was like straight nosedive as fast as possible into the bottom, right?
You should have the statistics for that too.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
This is how fast I went, right to the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I mean, it was basically, what was it? A year. It took me a year from when I took terminal leave, right? I had accrued all this basically time off or whatever in the Marine Corps, because I was always training, and I never really, took any time off. I never visited my parents all that much. I went on leave like a couple of times in my first 4 years. And so I got off early. So it was a year, right? For me to like find the bottom. Yeah. Right. And not that obviously the Marine Corps will give you a purpose if you don't have one, right? But then if you get out, and so this a lot of these vet problems too, right? It's like they get out and they're just like aimless. Yeah. They don't have anything that they don't know what to working toward. Yeah. Yeah. And so, and that's a tough place to be, man. I mean, that's why,
for sure.
That's why suicides happen. That's why, other bad things like me, just, getting drunk and punch people in the face.
That's a huge cause for divorce afterwards.
Yeah. Divorce, exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I rung all those bells, man. So it's like, how bad can I make my life right now? Let's see. And so then I was like, man, there's got to be more. And so for me, like, I went on a spiritual and a mental journey, basically, and it was a journey to find purpose. And so for me, my story, ultimately, I found Christianity, but I went through every religion that I could before I went to Christianity, because I was like,
before
I don't want to be that guy. Yeah, like, you're just going back to what like confirmation bias kind of thing, And so I didn't want to be that guy, but yeah, ultimately found Christianity. And it's funny, my story of being saved and believing in Christ was, most Christians like, and then everything got better. No, for me, it got worse. Right? Like life became harder for me, because before I could fuzz the lines of morality to get my way. Yeah. But then the lines got pretty cut and pretty dry, right? And so then I was like, well, man, this is harder than, not being a Christian. And, there's all these people that are like, oh, you're doing it because it's easier. It gives you it's like, no, man, like, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to be held to a higher standard, right? I wanted to be able to get what I wanted. Yeah.
Well, can I tell you something? So I have a similar story. You'll have to listen to the podcast that we did for me, but man, very similar in the fact that when I finally decided to accept Christ into my life, dude, it was the year and a half following was probably the hardest time of my life. And it's just because you're changing. You're doing 180 degrees changing all your decisions, everything. And dude, it's hard. Yeah. Yeah. And so I didn't take the easy route. It doesn't sound like you took the easy route. And all your friends are like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm right here with you, man. I know this story."
Yeah, you talk about friends. I lost like 90% of my friends in that decision.
That's good.
Bye. And I didn't say bye. They said bye. I'm like, hey, I'm here to love you regardless of how you act.
It makes you realize who's really there for you.
It's true.
Oh, 100%.
It's true.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, man. And so then for me, that's the center of my purpose, right? Is like, I'm here to love God and love other people. Right, and, man. And I started to love other people and serve them in the fitness industry before I became a believer, right? And because I just felt somewhere inside of my soul, in my heart of hearts, like that's what I want to do. Like, and that was half the reason why I would get in fights. It was like somebody said something or did something to my friend or somebody that I respect, and I'm like, hey man, you can't do that, like, and try to stand up for them. And then of course, if everybody's drunk, then it gets escalated pretty quickly. So yeah, and then
dude, your
stupidity ensues.
Your story is like so much like mine. I mean, I didn't go into the Marines or anything like that, but like the fighting, the drunkenness, the craziness, and then the, you know, changing my life, and then I went into the fitness industry afterwards, and oh, dude, it's all changed for me. This is a cool story. It's just like mine.
Yeah. And so like for me, I feel like, you know, kind of covering so much in the spectrum of like not good, and then so much into the spectrum of good, and I'm not trying to say like I am a good person. Like, you know, obviously for me, my belief is it's not me, but it's him.
Right.
At the same time, like I still, you know, like keep on punching, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Keep like punching. You can't, dude, you can't, you know, you can't stop. Like, and but also at the same time, you know, I'm a huge believer in this whole idea of slow and steady wins the race. Like I realize that,
it's, you know,
like I can't go
endurance race, not a sprint.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I can't try to find the top now that I hit the bottom. I can't try to find the top as fast as possible.
And do you still find that that's your attitude? Like, would you say that you're still in the sprint mode?
Yeah, I get caught in that a lot. So I got a tattoo cover up because I had a tattoo, and like I'd get on fitness videos all the time or whatever. And I was like, I shouldn't have this tattoo. My wife said the same thing. She's like, yeah, you really shouldn't have that. And so I got a tattoo covered up. And she's like, do you want to get it covered up? And I was like, oh yeah, 100%. And she's like, well, do you know what you would get? And I was like, yep, I know exactly what I would get. And what I got was a tortoise, like a kind of like a desert tortoise or whatever. And for me, it's the consummate reminder when I look in the mirror every morning that I need to be the tortoise, because I am the consummate hare. Like that is my deal. Like I tend to just sprint.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden I'm like laying on the side of the road, you know, burn out, panting, you know, dead or can't continue. And it's like, oh yeah, wait, this is an endurance race. It's not a sprint.
So. Steady. Got to be steady.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
So can you, this is kind of backtracking, but can you tell us about seeing your brother get hit by a car as a kid?
Yeah. It's funny. I was actually just telling this story, but from like a different angle to some of the Marines that were out here. Cause we were talking about like, hey, you know, the whole, Epictetus, the kind of the Greek warrior poet, like from way back in the day, he said, we don't rise to the level of our expectation. We fall to the level of our training. So telling the Marines, it's like, hey, train this so it becomes just an automatic response. So when you're, you know, instead of when you're in combat or whatever, and somebody's shooting at you, you forget how to speed reload. And so now you can't return fire. You want to train this so that it's just your natural response. And I was like, so it's not good to wait for the traumatic scenario to find out what you're made of. It's good to just train it out. So then this is just naturally how I react and I respond. And so I was like, so don't be like my younger brother. And I mean, I love him so much, and he is way smarter than our entire family. Molecular biologist, PhD, like he made good decisions. This is what happens when you make good decisions from the beginning, right? But I'll tell you what, when my brother got hit by a car, like he just immediately turned white, like passed out, you know.
Did you think he was dead or?
Oh, 100%. So we were all, so our whole family, 5 of us, right? My dad, my mom, my older brother, Jesse, he has seizures, right? And at this time they were just absent seizures. Now he has grand mals where he like actually falls down and like shakes and stuff. And as long as he's taking his medication, he's good. But if he's not, like, if he
misses a day or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so we're all, riding our bikes to church. We go to church, and then we're coming back, and we are